hope you're all keeping warm out there because we've had like about a week of really decent temperatures. Now we've kind of fallen back into the old winter temperatures and it's snowing outside with another winter storm. So gotta love that. Yay. But I wanted to kind of get a little started here a little bit on this series that I told you that I was going to do about talking about hypogonadism, what it is, my life living with it, and everything like that. So yeah, I thought might as well kick off everything and let's get everything started with that. So stick around. The Vochek experience starts right now. Welcome back to another video of the Vochek experience, where idiots are still always us, always me. You know, I'm always going to be an idiot for you guys because that's what we do on this channel, even when I am dead tired. That's right. I am dead tired. I worked a 12-hour shift last night, and I got to work another 12-hour shift tonight, and I thought I'd get on here real quick, do a quick video just to kind of, you know, get the ball rolling on this whole series that I'm doing for you guys for the whole hypogonadism thing and explaining maybe a little bit more what it is and all that stuff so that maybe you guys could understand a little bit better, you know, what it is, you know, why I talk the way I do and different stuff like that. And maybe we can educate some of these people who kind of make fun of me, you know, in the comments and stuff from the, you know, for the way I talk and all that good stuff. So yeah, with all that being said, let's just dive right into it. And this video here is basically kind of like an introduction kind of what is hypogonadism and its causes and stuff like that. And for the sake of making sure that everything's kind of accurate, I got my iPad here a little bit and I got some notes up and stuff. So if you see me kind of looking down or it looks like I'm doing something over here, it's just because I got some notes here so that I could accurately, you know, tell you guys what it is and all that stuff before we get into the nitty gritty, you know, of, you know, me kind of living with it and stuff like that. So basically, like I said, this video is more or less an intro into what hypogonadism is. I can barely talk because I am kind of tired, so just kind of bear with me here a little bit. And just so you know that hypogonadism is also commonly known as low testosterone. So if you hear somebody say, well, you know, I got this thing called low testosterone, stuff like that, they're talking about hypogonadism. So what is hypogonadism, or as commonly known as low testosterone? Basically what this is, it's a condition where the body doesn't produce enough of the sex hormones, whereas in guys, it's testosterone. For women, it's estrogen and progesterone. So there's, you know, it doesn't just affect guys; it can affect women as well. And yes, those are the sex hormones basically for us. And hypogonadism can definitely affect that in, you know, many different ways to varying degree. Now, having hypogonadism can mean that it can affect one or more different kind of areas, not just, you know, affecting the sex hormones. It can affect your energy levels. You know, it can make you always feel like tired where you don't want to do anything. You just want to sit around all the time. You just don't have the energy to do much of anything. Yes, it can affect your sex drive, where, you know, you're just not kind of into it, you're not really interested, stuff like that. It can also affect erections, especially, for guys, obviously. So it can cause some erectile dysfunction. And of course, muscle mass, it can affect, like how well you can build muscle mass and stuff like that, like limits to how much you can, do and stuff like that. Of course, it can also affect like body hair, as in like not growing a whole lot of hair on your chest or your arms or your legs or something, or even your armpit hair. It could be like just not really growing all that much hair as it is. May take forever for like, hair in your beard to grow in, or, your hair just doesn't grow, as fast as like, say, somebody else, that kind of thing. It can also affect your mood, to where like you're just kind of like, just not feeling things. You're just kind of maybe not always in a happy mood. You could be in a, kind of a grouchy mood, and stuff like that. And it can also affect your bone density as well. And I will say, at least for me, it does affect like my energy levels. Since I get a shot of testosterone every 2 weeks, if I am late, say even by a few days on getting that shot, I can feel the energy effects where like I just don't have the amount of energy I would like and all that stuff, and yes, I am going to get into some personal stuff here too, but it does affect, for me, it affects the sex drive a little bit. And of course, it does affect my body hair a little bit. Whenever I wasn't really getting the shots and stuff like that, like I should have been and stuff, I've noticed that I didn't have as much hair on my body and stuff. And then once, I started doing it more regular and stuff, like I started growing some hair and, that kind of thing. As for mood, it hasn't really affected that for me. So far, so good with my bone density, though. I will say that. I do get, every couple of years, I go in and I get a bone density scan and stuff like that. And pretty much my bone density is still pretty normal for, 46-year-old guy like me that has hypogonadism. So that's all good for right now. Hopefully it stays that way, There's also a couple of different kinds of hypogonadism. One is called a primary, and with that, it's like the problem is pretty much in like you're just not producing enough testosterone, and it's just like the signal, like your brain isn't like kind of getting the message through, for your body to produce it, stuff like that. And then you got something called secondary, where the problem could be in your pituitary gland or hypothalamus in the brain. I will say I do get an MRI taken every so often of my pituitary gland so they could check that. At one point, they saw some weird mass there, and then like a year and a half later, they checked it again, and that mass wasn't there anymore. But, lately they haven't checked it, but I'm pretty sure at some point they're probably going to check it again, just don't know when, but they have to, kind of keep an eye on that and stuff like that. So kind of think of it like this, as primary is like a factory problem, where secondary is kind of management's not sending the memo, to the different parts of the body that says, hey, this is what we need, and it can be genetic, and it also can be, like if you're in some kind of accident or something like that, or the body, is in some kind of trauma or something, it could cause hypogonadism and all that stuff. Whereas primary causes, to get into some of the causes, like I said, genetic conditions, or you can have, like I said, some injury, to, down there, if you know what I mean, or you can have like some kind of infection that kind of like does something to your body that inhibits, that, or if you're having chemotherapy, radiation and stuff can cause hypogonadism. Aging can cause it too. As you get older, your body doesn't produce enough testosterone, just normally as you age, and stuff like that. Secondary causes can be like, you have like a brain injury or a pituitary gland injury, or if you have like chronic like opiate use and stuff like that, or severe obesity, which I will say when I was younger, I was pretty obese. So, I mean, I don't know if that caused anything back when I was younger. I don't know. At least the doctor hasn't said anything about that, it can be caused by like, chronic illnesses, excess stress, inflammatory diseases, and of course, like I said, some genetic disorders as well. And of course, like anything, there are some symptoms like brain fog, where you're just like, you just, I'm not sure how to really describe brain fog, really. I mean, me personally, I really don't have brain fog, so I can't really, find the right words I want to say about that. But low motivation, which is like, you have to do something, and it's like, really don't have the motivation to get up and do it, it's like, whatever, that kind of thing. You can have decreased endurance, where, you just can't do things anymore, like you used to, or, you can't run as fast, you can't play sports as, other people can, stuff like that. And of course, you can have increased body fat, and, and stuff because of the fact you don't have the energy to get up, do stuff, exercise, that kind of thing. And of course, yes, it can be treated. I talk about this a lot in a lot of my videos, where, like I said, for me, I take a shot of testosterone every 2 weeks to kind of give my body that boost of testosterone and stuff like that, what my body needs and stuff to keep going. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to do that most likely for the rest of my life. So yes, it can be treated, but a lot of times, the treatment is like, it doesn't really reverse anything, if that makes sense. But you can also treat it with like medications. Like I said, I get a shot every 2 weeks of testosterone, depending on the varying degrees of how bad somebody might have it, determines what kind of medications they could try other than getting a shot, and of course, making some lifestyle changes, weight loss stuff, that kind of thing. But it's not a complete cure. Like when you have hypogonadism, like it's not going to go away to where like you don't have it anymore. That's just the reality of it, unfortunately. And I also will say that because I do have hypogonadism, and because I have it in the severity that I do have it, the reason why my voice, isn't deep like you say a typical 46-year-old man's voice to be, like a deep voice, that kind of thing. It's because when I went through puberty and stuff like that, like my voice, because my body wasn't producing testosterone like it should, during puberty, my voice didn't have that to for my voice to change from, like a higher kids, kind of sounding voice to like a deeper guy sounding voice. So my voice kind of stayed at a higher pitch level. But kind of as a consequence of that, I don't know if it's a consequence or something, but kind of like a side effect, at least for me, is that I do have the ability, if I want to, I can change my voice to a little bit more deeper. But in me doing that, it requires me to kind of strain my throat a little more and to kind of strain the vocal cords. And after a while, my vocal cords and my throat will start hurting. And sometimes I start tasting like blood, because of that. Back in the day, like around 16, 17, the doctor I had back then was kind of trying to encourage me to talk more in the deeper voice to try to train my vocal cords to deepen and stuff like that. But, well, I did kind of try doing that, but it just hurt my throat too much. And I just basically said, yeah, no, I can't do that, So I kind of gave up, but I can still make my voice deeper if I want to. And a lot of times what I do is whenever I do that deeper voice, it's usually when like I'm in a situation, like with a bunch of friends and stuff, and we're all just having a good time, and I'll just change my voice to throw somebody off, or something. Or what's also fun is when I get a telemarketer call and they call me ma'am, or they think I'm a woman on the phone and they're like, "Are you the lady of the house?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am the lady of the house at your service." And they get scared and usually they hang up, And of course, I've also, done that with some people who are used to hearing me talk like this and didn't know I could do that. And then I did it, and then I scared them to the point where they kind of, got into a corner and started crying because it scared them. So, but I also will say too, like if I need to yell or something, or, sometimes my voice deepens without me trying to do it. It's just some kind of weird thing that happens, if I try to yell really loud. So, I mean, it is what it is. I've learned to live with it, like for the longest time I was always, like self-conscious about it. But, after all these years, I'm just like, hey, this is just how I sound. And if you don't like it, hey, I'm not forcing you to like it, anything like that, And I know I get a lot of weird comments and some mean comments and stuff of people who don't understand, and just people in general that just want to troll, and they think they're having fun and stuff, and they don't realize that what if they're saying this to somebody that isn't as accepting of this condition as I am, and that person really gets depressed about it and lead to some things that you really don't want to talk about, if you know what I mean, so I just think that like me talking about this and doing this little video series that I'm going to do just to kind of educate you guys a little bit on it and what it's like for me to live with hypogonadism and all that stuff. So basically that's the video for today. Just a quick introduction of what it is and what can cause it, stuff like that. Just put my iPad back away and all that stuff, just so that you guys kind of get an idea of kind of where we're going to go with this series, and also allow you guys to, if you have any questions, no question is a dumb question when it comes to this. If you want to know anything, don't hesitate to ask, even if it sounds dumb, even if it sounds like it might be offensive, because it may not be. Most of the time, if somebody genuinely wants to know about this and, wants to know what's going on and wants some answers, I don't mind talking about it. I really don't mind talking about it at all, especially when it comes to the sexual component of it and how it affects me and stuff like that. I honestly, I do not mind at all. So if you have any kind of question related to that kind of thing, don't be afraid to ask, because, no question is a dumb question. And if you really think about it, the dumb question is the one you don't ask. You know what I mean? So, but having said all that, that's going to about do it for this video. I just wanted to do a quick introduction and then get my butt to bed so that I can go back into work tonight and all that happy good stuff. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to know more, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell so you get notified of future videos. And of course, if you want to support this dumb little channel of mine, and let's face it, this channel is pretty dumb, you could do so in two different ways. You can either hit that join button for the Idiot Squad, or you can scan the QR code that's going to pop up on the screen at some point, and you can donate via Cash App if you like. You don't have to if you don't want to. Strictly voluntary. All that good stuff. And of course, if you want to follow me in all the major socials, those links are down below. And check out the merch store too if you have not done that yet. Like I said, all those links are all down below in the description. There's a Linktree link there. You click that and it'll take you to anywhere you want to go. And as this playlist and as this series continues to grow on this channel with future videos, I'm probably going to add this playlist to my Linktree so that, if you click on it, you have access to it, like, bam, right there. There it is, all that good stuff. But anyway, yeah, I got to get my booty to bed, and because I got to work again tonight and all that stuff. And once I get a chance, I will get to the next video in the series. It's just sometimes it can get hard trying to film videos for you guys, plus working full time, and and then some of the stuff that went on this past week, with Shell car accident and stuff like that. It's been a crazy week. I'll just say that it's been a crazy week. But anyway, I hope you're all having a good day, good night, good week, whatever the case is when you're watching this, and I will see y'all in the next one. And until then, bye for now, guys.